notice, open, and wait. And we're going to do a guided practice of it in a few minutes. One of the ways that Velcro works is that it seems like everything is kind of stuck together. When we do an inquiry like the now practice, and all of the living inquiries, we're really looking at it on a very detailed level. For instance, if we're looking at sensation, what we're looking to see is, does that sensation have a shape, a color? Is it moving? Is it still? Does it have a label like this is sadness? Are there images coming up? Are there words coming up? There's a lot of information as we turn our attention inward. So sensation, when we're kind of looking at it on a bigger level, might just go, oh my God, this feels overwhelming. I can't feel that. I want to go do something else instead. And oftentimes that can be at the root of addiction, that turning away or that feeling like we can't handle what it is that's coming up. We often have fears around something, and the mechanisms of protection are so exquisitely formed. They really make sense when we start to do inquiry. We can really see, oh, okay, I can see why I have that thing coming up. We can see the history. It goes kind of on that timeline. But what we're doing with the now practices is we're really just noticing in great detail what it is that's coming up. And then we're looking at the quality of openness. So openness could be kind of, am I open to seeing it? What we're really kind of looking to see is the space all around something. So if we're talking about sound, there's a space, then there's sound, then there's more space. So there's a silence. If we're looking at an image, and we can use this now process on whatever it is that's coming up. So if we're looking at an image, you could have your eyes open and kind of look at an image as though it's showing up on the wall. Mostly when we're looking at internal images, we have our eyes closed. There's a sense of kind of behind the eyes, and then the image is just kind of out in front of us in space. So we can notice there's space between us and the image sometimes. It looks like we're looking at a picture. Other times, it seems like we're right in the scene and we're looking out of our own eyes and we can't see ourselves. And so when we're right in the scene, it feels like we're kind of reliving that event in a way. When we take a step back and notice that images are always made up of light and shapes and colors, and that there's space between the wall and me. Or if you look at an image, just the images we're looking at on the screen right now, there's space between us and those colors and shapes that make up these faces. And then the mind makes meaning out of what it is we're seeing. We're going, oh, okay, that's Lisa. That collection of colors and shapes and the blinking that would just happen, that's Lisa. And so we label all of what we see, and that's how we make sense of our experience. So this is just a way of slowing it down and really looking in detail at the various aspects of it. And then to notice the space in which it's arising as well. When we're completely absorbed in something, we're just completely absorbed in it. But when we take that step back, we can go, okay, that sensation is actually arising in this area of my body behind the navel center. And it feels like it's trying to get out. And I have this image of it that looks like this. So we can get kind of clinical about observing. So that's part of what we're doing here, is then we notice, okay, this sensation seems to mean this, and then we can look at those words. So the now practice is really just looking at something in that level of detail and waiting and then seeing what comes up next, and then we look at that. And so we thought it would be useful to have as a guided practice. And it's one of the, we'll be working with self-facilitating the unfindable inquiry, the anxiety inquiry, and the compulsion inquiry. But often these smaller practices that have come along are really accessible in terms of facilitating ourselves. So if we are noticing something come up and then we just go into the notice, open, and wait, that's a really simple way. We don't have to, have a lot of training in order to remember what to do.